Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasa. Jnanat jnanam vishishyate. Jnanat karma phala tyagas. Tyagas chantir anantaram. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasas. Jnana jnanam vishishyate. Jnanat karma phala tyagas. Tyagas chantir anantaram. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasas. Jnanam jnanam vishishyate. Jnana karma phala tyagas. Chantir anantaram. Jnanam jnanam vishishyate. Jnanat karma phala tyagas. Mataji. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasas. Jnanat jnanam vishishyate. Shreya. Better. He certainly. Jnanam. Knowledge. Abhyasat. Done practice. Jnanat. Done knowledge. Dhyanam. Meditation. Vishishyate. Is considered better. Dhyanat. Done meditation. Karma phala tyaga. Renunciation of the results of fruitive action. Tyagat. By such renunciation. Shanti. Peace. Anantaram. Thereafter. Purport, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Purport. As mentioned in the previous verses, there are two kinds of devotional service. the way of regulative principles, and the way of full attachment in love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those who are actually not able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness, it is better to cultivate knowledge, because by knowledge one can be able to understand his real position. Gradually, knowledge will develop to the point of meditation. By meditation, one can be able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by a gradual process. There are processes which make one understand that one himself is the Supreme, and that sort of meditation is preferred if one is unable to engage in devotional service. If one is not able to meditate in such a way, then there are prescribed duties, as enjoined in the Vedic literature, for the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, which we shall find in the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. But in all cases, one should give up the result of fruits of labor. This means to employ the results of karma for some good cause. In summary, to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal, there are two processes. One process is by gradual development, and the other process is direct. Devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the direct method, and the other method involves renouncing the fruits of one's activities. Then one can come to the stage of knowledge, then to the stage of meditation, then to the stage of understanding the Supersoul, and then to the stage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One may take either the step-by-step process or the direct path. The direct process is not possible for everyone. Therefore, the indirect process is also good. It is, however, to be understood that the indirect process is not recommended for Arjuna, because he is already at the stage of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. It is for others who are not at this stage. For them, the gradual process of renunciation, knowledge, meditation, and realization of the Super Soul and Brahman should be followed. But as far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, it is the direct method that is stressed. Everyone is advised to take to the direct method and surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyanan Gyana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kipa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Ghoura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasaj jnana dhyanam vishishyate jnanat karma palatyagas tyagaj chantir anantaram. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivate of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. So Lord Krishna is speaking here. And previous to this, starting from the 8th sloka, Lord Krishna is giving Arjuna different ways how ultimately he'll be able to accelerate gradually and come to the point of completely becoming fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord Himself. Starts in text 8. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Giving one's intelligence. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, or before that, my dear Arjuna, a winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all the results of your work and try to be self-situated. So as we can see here, the topmost is always thinking of Krishna. Meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not everyone able to do that, especially in the neophyte stage. That's why the Bhagavad Gita spoken by the Supreme Lord, so that gradually I will be able to understand His position, Krishna Tattva. Then ultimately, when we understand His nature, His qualities, His name, His fame, form, qualities, and pastimes are absolute, then ultimately we'll come to the platform of Manmana Bhava Madbhakto, always thinking of Him. So there are these different indirect ways how one can ultimately come to the point of always thinking of Krishna. Renunciation of one's work. One performs activities in such a way that the results or the fruits of one's actions will be dedicated, if not fully, at least half or partially, towards the Supreme Lord's glories or propagating His name, or giving to charity, those institution that helps propagating the Lord's glories. If one cannot do that, then there's another way. Cultivate one's knowledge, study. Because when one study or cultivate one's knowledge, then he's able to meditate on the Supreme Lord. And while meditating, then you start to remember. So following these principles is not so easy in the beginning. The qualification that one needs to have is that one's faith. One has to have faith in order to cultivate these different ways how to ultimately come to the conclusion and reaching that the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth is the goal of life. Understanding that our goal is Hari Bhajan, worshiping the Supreme Lord. That is the purpose of human form of life. Purpose of human form of life is attaining perfection by worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because of our desire to lord it over the material nature, we want to enjoy as much as possible this material energy. And therefore, we're finding it very difficult to surrender. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it so easy. He didn't tell us to surrender. He just told us to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When we tell people, we don't tell them, you must surrender. Like Krishna was saying to Arjuna, Sarva Dharmam Parityajya. This is the conclusion is the same, ultimately, to attain love of God. But Lord Krishna is giving Arjuna this surrendering process, that one must surrender. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a most magnanimous incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Or Lord Krishna himself, he didn't say surrender. He just say, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Srila Prabhupada did the same thing. When he first came to America, he didn't tell everyone to surrender, because no one will surrender. He just told them to come, take prasad, and chant and hear the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. And also, in the very early days, he started giving classes in Chaitanya Charitamrita to introduce Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to those personalities who doesn't have any idea, knowledge, except for some few who've seen feature of the Sadbhuj form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, having a kamandalu and what's that? Japamala? And I believe it's Rai Ram. Rai Ram who saw this. Is that correct? No, but Rai Ram was in India, and then he saw this. Swamiji has a picture of this also.
Okay.
Yes. So this knowledge, acquiring knowledge, is what we're doing here. We try to meditate on these different instructions of the Supreme Lord, because by doing so we develop faith. Of course, in the beginning of the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada says, first, just try to acknowledge that Krishna is God. We don't have any idea or clue that Krishna is God, but he says, just accept it that Krishna is God. And as we follow this direct method, what we're doing, these 9 processes of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting the holy names, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then our faith develop to increase day by day. So this is the difference of so many scholars also. They know the Bhagavad Gita in and out, upside down, every corners, all the slokas. You go some universities, they can quote Bhagavad Gitas more than anybody else. But because they don't have bhakti, they don't practice, then their knowledge is not real. It's not realized knowledge. So the difference of what we're doing here is that we study the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other books of Srila Prabhupada that he translated, irregardless of what position we are in the society, whether we are Brahmana, Satriya, Vaishya, Shudra. But the conclusion is that we'll be able to understand the position of Lord Krishna, and we fully dedicate ourselves towards Him. The process actually is not so difficult. The process is easy, but the problem is our application of the process. Due to our attachments to material things, and especially for those who are grihastas, the attachment to family life. That's why the surrendering or the attainment of the goal is not easily reached. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the goal of one's life, the attainment of one's love towards the Supreme Lord. And as Srila Prabhupada mentions from the previous verses, there is what you call the indirect way, and devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the direct method. That's why when we meet a person in the city, we don't immediately say, give up everything and just come into the temple and stay in the temple. Of course, we don't have enough space in the temple for everyone. Whenever Prabhupada would meet a professional working class person, he said, oh, you're a teacher? Okay, you just teach for Krishna. You're an engineer? Then you do things for Krishna. He didn't say give up. You're a photographer? Okay, do it for Krishna. Because ultimately, when we do perform our activities for Krishna's pleasure, ultimately it turns into become bhakti. But in the beginning, we didn't have that idea that whatever I should do is for Krishna's pleasure. But I just do it for Krishna. But ultimately, because bhakti means love, we may perform activities, but if there is no love for Krishna, because many times devotees do things for their own benefit also. Not 100% only for Krishna. Because bhakti means only for Krishna. Not even 1% for me. And that is very, very difficult to attain. So attaining perfection in one's life is possible. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that it is possible by sincerely performing activities for the pleasure of Krishna and Guru. We should be willing to perform our activities only for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. And also by giving up our material desires. Two things. As much as possible, try to follow the instructions of one's Guru and giving up one's material desires. The possibility of attaining the ultimate goal of life in this lifetime is for sure. But how many can do that? Our Guru tells something, but no, I want something else. I have a different idea than my Guru. It is not so easy because Guru is the representative. Saksad. Saksad Darit Vena Samasa Sastrayer is none different than the Supreme Lord Himself. And that's why it's considered that to disobey one's Guru's order is one of the most offensive. It's very offensive. One of the most offensive one can commit, especially in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. There's certain times that we consider him as an ordinary person. Also, one should give up completely the material desires. When Jaga and Madhai, they surrendered unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they promised not to commit any more sinful activities. Not to perform any more activities which is going to be detrimental for one's development of love of God. So Krishna consciousness is the direct method, and the other method involves renouncing the fruits of one's activities. This process that we're doing ultimately is to renounce everything. But our definition of renunciation, according to Srila Rupa Goswami, is using everything for the service of Krishna. This is real renunciation. Not like the Mayavadis. They renounce. They don't even want to touch money. Or if they have disciples, if they get some donation, they do not accept them themselves. The disciples will accept them. They consider them as Maya. And they don't use it for Krishna's service. Unlike the Vaishnavas, we use everything for Krishna's service. We use the microphone, we have vehicles, we have all of these amenities from the material nature, from the material energy, and we use everything for Krishna's service knowingly. This is because of knowledge, knowingly that everything also belongs to Krishna and can be used for Krishna's service. A devotee of the Lord, he sees everything belongs to Krishna, and therefore he is Krishna conscious. He meditates everything, how they can be dovetailed for Krishna's service. So their understanding is completely different than those who are materialists, those who are sense enjoyers. Because this process is easily performed, is joyfully. Susukam kartaham avyayam. This direct process is not possible for everyone, especially those who have material desires. That's the only way how we're not able to completely perform this process joyfully. Otherwise, everything is so joyfully performed for a devotee. It says here, it is to be understood that the indirect process is not recommended for Arjuna because he is already at the stage of loving devotional service to the Lord. The gopis, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they don't have to get up for Mangalartik. They don't have to do sadhana bhakti because they have this spontaneous love towards the Supreme Lord. Their love towards the Supreme Lord is natural. It doesn't have to be forced. Unlike for us, we have to practice, to do this practice every day. We have to get up early in the morning, chant our rounds forcefully. We have to force our mind to focus on the holy name. It's like we have to drag ourselves to come for the morning program. Why is that? Srila Prabhupada gave an example. It's like a boy who doesn't want to go to school. He's a young boy, so he doesn't want to go to school. But then, when the boy saw that in the school he has more time to play with friends, he'll see so many friends around there, so the next day or the next few days, the parents doesn't have to drag him. He'll be the first one to tell the parents, I want to go to school now, even before the time. So similarly, it's like that. The process of devotional service is easy, but in the beginning, since we don't have taste, and since because of our previous samskaras, we're not able to relish the devotional service, the practice of devotional service. We have to like always keep it in mind that this process is happily performed, joyfully performed, and it's very easy. But it seems to be that it's very difficult just to finish our 16 rounds. Because of our not having the taste, we are having this jaundice, this disease. The material disease is still there. As long as we have this material body, the propensity to be illusioned, to cheat others, to commit mistakes, all of these imperfections will be there. But as Prabhupada mentions, it's like an iron. When you put it into the fire, it becomes like hot, like fire as well. So similarly, we have to be patient. It will come one day. Ignore the dictations of the mind. Ignore the dictations of the senses. Give up our false ego and understand that we're subordinate, completely subordinate from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and our main duty is just to meditate on His lotus feet, how to please Krishna. However, higher than pleasing Krishna is pleasing His devotees. We should never forget this. A neophyte devotee, he forgets who is around. He only sees himself and the Supreme Lord. And because he is neophyte also, he has many requests. Instead of giving to Krishna, he's asking Krishna to give to him. And he forgets the Vaishnavas, the others around him. So this is what we're missing also. That service to Krishna is the highest, but higher than service to Krishna is service to His devotees. Because if we serve His devotees and they're pleased, Krishna is more pleased. Krishna is more happier than He Himself directly being served. And what more can we do this by serving our Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, to the best of our ability. But we should also think that, or understand that Vaishnavas are Vaishnavas, even small Vaishnavas and big Vaishnavas. Means general Vaishnavas, general devotees, or those devotees who are more dearer to Krishna. Because in the eyes of Lord Krishna, everyone is equal. Even a blade of grass and the cows, they're the same. So in conclusion, this direct method is very much stressed. This sarva dharmang parityajya, this is the direct method. Because ultimately when we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it'll come to the point, even though in our impure stage, even a sinful person can chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't say, oh, you're so sinful, you're not qualified to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The more one fallen is, the more he is qualified to accept and receive love of God by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So when we chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and we're thinking, oh, I'm so sinful, how can I, my mind's so much restless, how can I continue this? Just keep going on, because one will ultimately become purified and come to the understanding that, yes, I will surrender to Krishna one day, and hopefully tomorrow. No, now. Don't say, oh, I'll surrender to Krishna tomorrow. That tomorrow will never come. It's better you say, I surrender, Krishna. What's that statement? From now on, I am yours. From today on, I am yours. You can do whatever you like to me. That's why Prabhupada is great. Because he let Krishna direct him. Right now, we want Krishna to follow us. We want to direct Krishna, where I'm going, you follow me. Whatever is my plan, oh Krishna, I want it to be fulfilled. Of course, we have to understand the mood of our spiritual master. Being representative of the Supreme Lord, He has planned for us also. We have to very, very, perceptive in this way. But Srila Prabhupada says when he met again in Radhakund, his spiritual master, he asked him, what can I do for you? Is that the right one? What can I do? Or how may I serve you? How may I serve you? So this should be our meditation also. We can ask our spiritual master, we can pray to Srila Prabhupada how we may serve him, but we should be also very, very perceptive and very sharp to understand what our spiritual master would like us to do, because this is the sign of the first-class devotee. That even before the spiritual master will tell us what to do, we know what we should be doing. And definitely, if they're pleased, Krishna is pleased, then our going back to Godhead is guaranteed. Hare Krishna. Any question and points, Matajis and Prabhus? You have another microphone for this? So they can hear in the FM? Which one?
Very inspirational. From the 12th.
This one?
Yeah. It's very inspirational.
Yes. Better than practicing is fixing the intelligence on me. I was going to read it also, but it's in front of me. It's the same one?
Yeah, Sara Varshini.
This is Tika from Biswanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, text 12 also. Better than practice is fixing the intelligence on me, jnanam or mananam. By performing practice alone, it is difficult to achieve meditation. By performing manana, easily one can come to the meditation. Therefore, by this distinction, it is concluded that meditation, smarana, is better than gyan, manana. Why? From meditation, one becomes devoid of desire for fruits of sakama karma in the form of swarga, and the fruits of niskama karma in the form of liberation. Even though swarga and liberation are attained without his endeavor, the devotee becomes indifferent to them. Before the devotee reaches steady meditation, when he has not yet attained rati or bhava, he has just a desire to give up liberation. But when he becomes fixed in meditation at bhava stage, he becomes thoroughly disgusted with moksha. He takes liberation as insignificant. That meditation is the cause for indifference to moksha. This is stated in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where bhakti is glorified with 6 qualities. Bhakti is characterized by the extraction of suffering, bestowal of good qualities, disregard for liberation, rarity, intense spiritual bliss, and attracting even Krishna. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.17. The devotee who has offered his soul to me does not want anything if it is separate from me, not the position of the supreme demigod of the universe, Brahma, nor that of Lord Indra, nor kingship over the entire earth or over the lower planetary systems, nor the mystic perfections of yoga, nor even freedom from the cycle of rebirth. 11th Canto, Chapter 14, Text 14. After developing this taste for the fruits of the action, he then attains peace in the form of stopping the senses from dwelling on all objects except my form and qualities. This explanation directly links the succession of stages from the two words Sreya and Vishishyate in the first line to Anantaram in the second line. No other explanation can be considered. Hare Krishna. Straightforward. Yes.
So actually in the characteristics of pure devotional service, the first two actually.
In the characteristics of pure devotional service.
So the first two actually.
How do you turn it on? Bottom one. Yes.
So in the characteristics of the pure devotional service, the first two characteristics, Kleshagni, Moksha Laghukrita, they actually signify sadhana bhakti.
Mm.
And then the next two characteristics, they actually for bhava bhakti.
Mm.
Because when some person reaches at the bhava bhakti stage, then actually it's very rare and he is already liberated.
Mm-hmm.
But the last two characteristics, that is, Sri Krishna Akarshani, they actually, develop when actually one reaches at the stage of Prema Bhakti.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do not know the reference where it is from, but I think somewhere in Ways of Devotion I have read this by Bhanu Swami Maharaj, Danodar Swami.
Yeah, Bhanu Swami Maharaj, he has Waves of Devotion is Danodar Swami. But these are all from the Acharyas also. Explanation. Yes. Don't have to turn it off. Keep it on.
It's not on.
Don't turn it off. Oh. It's okay.
Okay. Mark, I was just sort of asking, you were mentioning how Krishna mentioning Bhakti, a gradual process.
It's a gradual process.
A gradual, the word you used was accelerating gradually. I was sort of wondering, but the only currency you said is faith. I was wondering how do you
Accelerate?
Sort of how do you...
You can accelerate. The acceleration and the increasing of faith speed ups when you associate with those devotees who have attained this platform. So one must be always seeking this kind of association, because there are different kinds of association even amongst devotees. One should be looking for an association from an Uttama Bhakta, and it's very rare. You don't practically find them. How do you recognize one? You recognize a pure devotee just by seeing them. That makes you immediately think of Krishna. You don't envy them. You hanker for their association. A neophyte envy an advanced devotee. This is his nature. He's materialistic. He doesn't want anyone to make advancement in Krishna consciousness except himself. But a person who is endeavoring to make advancement, a neophyte devotee, he thinks he's already advanced, so he doesn't want any more association. He wants everyone to associate with him. But a devotee who's inspiring to really endeavoring, He's looking for this kind of devotees. And that devotee is always talking about Krishna, and he's not just talking about Krishna. He's doing practical service also. Because some devotees, they're only good in speaking, but they're not good in doing. Haridas Thakur is like this. That's why he's been praised by Sanatan Goswami. He walked the talk. He's Namacharya, but he's also preaching. So you should really aspire for this association. And then when you get them, you get infected. There's no way you can get out of it. Your advancement is rapid. So many. Prabhupada, he gave his association. They're all from lower rank, lowest of the low. And they've been brought up. Prabhupada gave them all the chances also. So when we meet this kind of personalities, you take advantage of their association, you inquire from them, you serve them. You serve them also. And in this way, you'll get... Look at Narad Muni. He was serving the Bhaktivedantas. He was taking their prasadam, remnants. So you should be like this also. One Prabhupada told me, you want to make advancement? Go steal Mahaprasad from other Vaishnavas, advanced devotees. Even if they don't want to give it to you, you steal them. That's how you can rapidly, even though it's gradual, you accelerate this gradual process. Yes. But who is greedy? In Krishna consciousness, they're the ones who will attain love of God. There's a different kind of greediness. Materialist greediness is for themselves, but devotees' greediness is to please Krishna. This is their greed. Yes, sir.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Nice class, Maharaj. But I have a conflict statement given by Prabhupada in this.
Okay.
In the second paragraph, 9th line, the direct process and indirect process.
Okay, where is it?
9th line from second paragraph.
9th line from the second part. 1, 2, 3. Okay, read it.
The direct process is not possible for everyone.
Yes.
Therefore, the indirect process is also good.
Yeah.
And last sentence, everyone is advised to take the direct process. Surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Ultimately, we will come to the full surrender. It's not immediately we surrender, so we take to the indirect process first. But ultimately, we have to come to the direct process, which is surrender. Because in the beginning, you just give the fruits, little. You cultivate knowledge, meditate, remember. And ultimately, all of them, there's a statement I just wrote.
But Maharaj, when we discussed, you said not tomorrow surrender, immediately surrender.
But that's you see, if you say today I surrender, that may take many lifetimes also. It's not that you say today I surrender, but your mind, your words, your actions, and your very self all together, that is what you mean by completely surrender. So in the beginning, maybe your actions, but your mind is not surrender. Your speech or your words maybe say surrender, but not your ego. But when you put all of those together, mind, speech, actions, and your very self, the soul, that is surrender. So it takes time. It doesn't happen in one day that all of those four will say, I surrender. That is what you mean by renunciation. Renunciation is not meant only for the men, it's for the women also. It's for every living entities. And that may happen many lifetimes. But you have to say now. not say tomorrow, because that will never happen. But if you say now, you're endeavoring now, means you act now. You start, you act, you think, you speak, perform all your activities all together now. But if you say tomorrow, tomorrow never comes. There's a saying like that, isn't it, in English? Don't turn it on. It's on.
Can I comment on the last question before?
Yeah.
So, just in the spirit of better than this is that, and better than that is this, better than eating until you waddle, which is what Prabhupada started the devotees to give them an prasadam so that they waddle. Better
Walk
than
like a duck.
stealing the Mahaprasadam from the devotees. Better is to serve the devotees.
Yeah.
And that way you'll get the Mahaprasad also.
Service, yeah.
Inevitably.
Prabhupada was once asked, is it does sannyasi or a spiritual master, they have to leave some remnants? For, yeah. It says no sannyasi, but it's, or a spiritual master, but this is they live for the benefit, so that they in this way they're giving their mercy. But one should not. Oh, yeah, one should not live remnants. We're not that elevated to live remnants. Spiritual master can do that. So you must eat. In the early days, and I've seen some of the devotees who were taught in the old school. They like, it's like they didn't eat prasad. They're taking prasad, but then and in the end it's like wiped clean.
Yes.
But now look at the others. Oh, they throw out prasad. That is actually an offense, because prasad is not different than Krishna. And you don't feed also your remnants to the cows. That is an offense also. Cows your mother. So you don't, whenever you have these things. Yes, service. How can I please you? How may I serve you? This should be always the meditation of the disciple, or to those who are more senior than him. Is there anything I can do? But we were talking to Brahmananda Prabhu the other day, because Janananda Maharaj and I went to visit him. He was saying that sannyasis, they're always being offered, Maharaj, what can I do for you? Usually that is like formality only, because the person should know actually what are the needs. So, and he says that whatever is been offered to sannyasis, you should never refuse. You may take it, and then if you don't need it, give it to somebody else. But don't say no. Because you giving them the chance to serve you. It's like I was reading a Prabhupada. There was one devotee in the early days, and he was thinking that because of his service, that Prabhupada is able to maintain himself. It's a big offense. He was thinking that because of his service towards the spiritual master is maintaining himself. It's the other way around. Actually, the spiritual master takes our service because he gives us a chance to serve him, so that we will make advancement. The spiritual master doesn't need anything, isn't it? But he will say, okay, you can do this for me. But actually, he doesn't need it. He's just doing it so that you'll make advancement by doing that service for him. So he says one must be very careful. The disciple must think that the guru doesn't exist because of the service of the disciple. You understand? It's a very good point. That's why we should be self-satisfied. But for the Guru, we should be always willing to serve. Not to think that, oh, I should serve so that I make advancement. No. I serve so that for the benefit of Guru Maharaj, so that he can preach. There's a big difference there, isn't it? It's a big difference. We should not serve the Guru to enjoy Guru. We should serve Guru to increase our love for Guru. That's a big difference. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Maharaj, thank you very much for a wonderful class. In this shloka that there is a sequence is given.
Yes.
Prabhupada in the commentary purport is means in the next para, second para, he is changing the sequence, means not changing actually, means the purport is little different.
Yes.
He is saying that method in other method involves renouncing the fruits of one activities. Renouncing the fruits of one's activity is putting first, and then one can come to the stage of knowledge. He says, and according to shlokas as we go, it's the renouncing the fruits comes last.
Yes.
And in and commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti we heard that there is giving another purport to it. So how to understand this, the variations of this and Krishna, and the chapter itself is devotional service. And all these factors are coming here in the chapter, the name devotional service.
Yeah,
so,
I was thinking like that also, that ultimately here one should give up all results. But see, how can you give up your result if you don't have knowledge? First you have to have the knowledge, then you can give up the results. Isn't it? Without knowledge, I'm going to read a quote from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says here, pure knowledge, pure renunciation, and pure devotional service are one and the same. Did you hear that? Pure knowledge, Krishna is supreme, I am subordinate, I have to serve him. Pure renunciation, giving up everything for the service of Krishna, and pure devotional service, they're all one and the same. So ultimately, that's why it's called devotional service. Does that answer your question? It's ultimately when you come to the conclusion that everything is relation, you don't turn it on. You don't turn it off, because once you turn it off, yeah. Prabhupada was doing recording. He says, this is useless and you're also useless. Because it didn't work.
Section of Bhagavad Gita which describes that if you're simply given charity, even without knowledge, then you will, because you're giving something up, and Krishna will give you some agyata sukriti,
Yes.
so that you will come to the station where you will get some knowledge.
Of course, of course.
So even a simple person,
Pious activities.
yeah, an atheist giving charity gives them a step up.
But there is a difference there again. This is to put another thing. You're doing things knowingly that you're accumulating credits, and you're doing it not to please Krishna. That is a different thing again. But even that, that you get purified, but that is not pure devotional. That is not devotional service, because devotional service means ahaituki.
You have to start from somewhere.
Yes, so it goes simultaneously all together. But ultimately, when it all becomes not mayavad, all become one. Pure knowledge, pure renunciation, and pure devotional service are one and the same. So, It's like, which comes first, the hen or the chicken or the eggs? It's just like it accumulates. Then the start of devotional service. As long as we have material desires, we're not doing devotional service. We are trying to do devotional service. So right now, we're just trying to do devotional service. We're not even in because that bhakti is the Brajabasis. That's the level of Brajabasis. Not the today Brajabasi, but the real, original Brajabasis. That's bhakti. Right now we're mixed. Anything else? Yes.
One relevant question. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you. Hare Krishna Maharaji, thank you for the wonderful explanation. Now there is a little, confusion in my mind where the, shloka is Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam. There also it mentions attains peace from the pangs of material miseries.
Mm.
And over here also.
Yeah, you attain peace also.
Yeah, also peace. So how can we reconcile these two things? One is peace of mind and the other is peace from material miseries.
It's the same.
It's the same.
Peace is peace. Shanti is shanti. Om Shanti 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 Om. There's no difference, isn't it? When you have peace of mind, your heart is clean. You cannot have a peace of mind if your heart is dirty. If your heart is dirty, that means material desires, sinful activities. Okay? So one can become peaceful. If you're only peaceful, then when you become happy, that is the result of having peace of mind. Your happiness is there. And that happiness means no more repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. It's not flickering happiness. That's the definition that Prabhupada gave. What is happiness? Happiness means freedom from the repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. And this Shanti is the same. That Shanti is the same.
What's the title of that book?
Sararth Vashini Tika.
I have a soft copy. If you go in the internet also, there is SrimadBhagavadGita.org or something, and you'll see so many commentaries of Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, and all this. I think it was compiled by Varahaswami. You know Varahaswami? The one tall sannyasi comes with us. But Prabhupada put all of those purports or commentaries into his purports plus his realization. So this is complete as it is.
I remember once we had a devotee here who had just come out of the university from Benares to study the scriptures, the Shastra.
Mm.
And he said the most amazing thing he realized was that Prabhupada took everything from all of these commentaries and they were all in his purports.
Yeah.
So rather than go to some university in Benares, you may as well just go straight to Prabhupada's books.
How fortunate we are. But some of us don't take advantage of this. If not some, most of us. And others, because in Vrindavan, there's so many schools of Sanskrit, we have even some of our devotees, they go there instead of coming to our Bhagavatam class.
Go to the library.
Or go to the library, yes. Here, it's complete. So thank you very much. Going back to Godhead soon, Ki Jai.